All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Cassie. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so today is not the most enthralling topic, but it is one of the most complicated, and often we're going to cover some of the biggest hangups in regards to when you're trying to get down your research path. And I know Court, he's been through the process. Can you raise your emoji hand if you've done this? Jessica, I know Jessica's done this. Okay, all right. So this might be a lot of duplicate for some of you, but please, I work best, go ahead and interrupt at any time with a question. Just speak up. So we're going to do conquering IRBnet and required trainings today. It's not something that is like easily found on the website. You kind of have to read through it. We do hope to polish up our website, but we just thought, hey, it'd be great to go over it today. So again, I'm with the Office of Research Integrity. Our Dr. Nettie LaBelle-Hamer is our Vice Chancellor for Research and our institutional official, who's our signatory authority. And then I am the Research Integrity Administrator. And then I have a coworker, Aaron Menshouse, who works with Exports Control. He's our Export Controls Officer. Okay, so to start, since most of you have already used it, I did it in case there's newbies, but will I need to use IRBnet? And simply put, if you're going to be doing research that uses or involves live human participants, live vertebrate animals, or biological safety, DNA, RNA, and other biohazards research, you are going to need to learn how to use IRBnet. Now, IRBnet is an online digital platform. Different organizations and different universities, some use IRBnet, some use different ones. I get a lot of sales pitches. There's a lot of complaints always, but every online system has its glitches. It's just something that I've learned. So I think it's great that CASC asked me to do this, because being able to work through and see it, kind of some hand holding, really makes the process a lot more streamlined. So are you going to need IRBnet? Well, if you need an IRB, an IACUC, or an IBC protocol approval, you're going to need IRBnet. Also, if you are a research personnel on a list, so maybe you're not the PI who submitted the IRBnet protocol, but you're working on the protocol, it's good to have an IRBnet account and ask that PI to share that project protocol package with you, because it allows you to access the approved protocol and procedures on your own, and to make sure that you have the most updated and recent accessible to you. So you don't even have to necessarily be the one doing the project. If you're on a project, you can ask for it to be shared with you. And then we're going to talk about trainings. So IRB, IACUC, and IBC, they each have their own set of required trainings. That's what we're going to talk about next. And then, of course, we have the RCR training, responsible conduct and research. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So IRB trainings. I know this looks like a lot of words, but I'm going to say most of them. So first off, the university subscribes. We have a subscription to CITI program, which is a nationally accredited training program. And if you see my first bullet, if you register as an institution or organization and you select the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Alaska, your training is free. If you signed up as an independent user, which I don't recommend, they are going to try to charge you for all the trainings that you need. UAF covers that, because you're required to have these trainings to be on our research protocols. So make sure that when you create your CITI program account, that you affiliate it with the University of Alaska Fairbanks. If you came from a different university or an organization that used CITI training, that's great. You're going to need to make sure that you add UAF as an affiliation. That allows me to see your training history. If you don't add UAF as an affiliation, you don't exist to me. And then I'm going to email you and say, well, I don't see that you have a CITI account. And you're going to say, I do. I got it at California, Berkeley. And I'm going to say, well, can you go ahead and add this affiliation? So that's the most important thing about CITI, is making sure you're affiliated with the university so that your trainings are free on any spectrum. So if you're doing IRB training, we're going to focus on human participants research. So I'm going to show you this here shortly, but there's multi-level questions. So if you're doing IRB training, you're going to take question 1, subsection, human participants research, social and behavioral researcher. It's required. If you are submitting a full protocol or an expedited protocol, you and all your personnel must have that training. If you are working on an exempt protocol, the PI must have this training, and any student, undergraduate, graduate, or postdoctorate student has to have this training. So if you're full or expedited, everyone. If you're exempt, the PI and any student. And then of course, RCR training. So are you working on a project that's NSF or NIH funded or associated to NSF or NIH funds? Then if yes, you will need RCR training, and you are to get it within 1 year. So we've created a new RCR training at UAF. It used to be an 8-hour weekend workshop, but with COVID, we created a new module form. So when you're in CITI, we'll go over this, question 5 is where you're going to add your RCR training. RCR training is different from your IRB social and behavioral training. Those are 2 separate trainings, 2 separate modules, 2 separate certificates. So just remember that. They look similarly titled, but as you can see here on the slide, when you go to question 5 and you click RCR, it says social and behavioral RCR, not equivalent to IRB training. So just remember that. And then the second part, so step 1 is you need to take that CITI. So if you know you're working with NSF or NIH funds, go ahead, get that question 5 loaded into your course module bank, start taking it, because that's a prerequisite for being able to attend step 2, which is our online Zoom case scenarios workshop that we host biannually currently, which is usually about 3 to 4 hours long. So you have to do the online module, and then you'll have to attend a case scenarios workshop. I am hoping to plan an RCR training for the end of May right now. I don't have a date selected. It might possibly be the very first week in June, but that's my goal. So currently we'll do like a spring-ish summer RCR and then a fall RCR training currently. We do have hope that we might, because of the new online ability to do RCR training, that we may offer it more frequently in the future, but currently it's just biannually. Okay, so that's IRB. So all that said, really what we're focusing on is city program training. You have to have human participants research. Also, I'll add that it can take minimum 3 to maximum probably 8-ish hours. I've heard report backs for that training. It's 11 modules long. There's a quiz at the end of each. You do have to get 100% on all the quizzes, no matter what training you're taking in CITI, be it for the IRB or the IACUC or the IBC or RCR. You have to take it, get 100%. You're allowed to retake the quizzes as many times as you like, but you have to get 100, and it does take a while. So like if you know that your faculty chair, who's going to be your PI for your IRB submission or your IACUC submission, IRB submission, doesn't have that training, they need to know ahead of time, because they are going to need to find 3 to 5 hours to get that training done. Okay, IACUC training, so training requirements for the IACUC. I don't know if y'all can see that, but I'm gonna move it out the way. So again, we use CITI program. As long as you're affiliated with the university, it's free. This is where we focus on question 3 is all of our animal focused trainings, and I'll show you the questions here in a minute. You are absolutely required to take field or lab researcher. So those are the 2. If you're on an IACUC protocol working with live vertebrates, you will have to take either field or lab. Now that depends on where you're working. If you're out in the field, you fly up to Uktiavik to count polar bear, you'll take field researchers. If you're working in the bird building or out at Lars counts as a lab, you're going to take lab researcher. If you're working in both, because maybe you're on more than one protocol, or you're doing field research to collect your specimen and then bringing them into the lab to do procedures on your specimens, you're going to need field and lab. If you're working specifically with a group of wildlife, we have a module wildlife researcher, and that goes into where I have the bullet. There's other modules related to your research efforts. These are required and determined. these by the ORI. So I determine based on the protocol that you submit and your actions that you've requested for approval, what type of training you're going to need. If you're for the IACUC, if you're working with mice, we have a mice module. If you're working with rats, we have a rat module. If you're working with fish, we have a fish module. So on top of that field and or lab researcher, potentially that wildlife researcher, you may need some type of subsect animal research. Then I threw in here ALAS training, which is our ALAS learning library. Not a lot of our researchers use this, but the key is if you're going to be assisting with or conducting surgery on animals, you will be assigned a seat in our ALAS training. We use ALAS for our surgical specific training. Even though CITI does have some of those modules, we use ALAS. It's just more in depth. We feel it offers a better training, and so we use ALAS. So you're going to need those trainings before your protocol is approved. You and your personnel will need these trainings before your protocol is approved. And then RCR, again, are you working with NIH or NSF funds? If yes, you're going to need RCR training. You're going to need the online CIT module. You're going to need to take the workshop. And then I threw in IBC. This is a very infrequently used protocol review at the university, but I do think that it's ramping up a little bit. So if you're doing anything, again, with DNA, RNA, biosecurities, biosafety, you're going to take your CITA training. Now, this one has a group module, so I'll assign you a group module based on the type of IBC requests that you have. Are you working with bloodborne pathogens, things like that? So there's different levels of training for that. And then again, RCR training is required if you have an IBC, if you're getting NIH or NSF funds. Let's see. So I just threw this in, it kind of came to me when I was putting these slides together. There's also other trainings that are required. And now as the research integrity administrator for the university, I specifically look for all trainings required to approving your protocol. So I'm looking for everything that you need for your IRB and for your IACUC and for your IBC, which are our CITI trainings, our ALAS trainings, our PIF, which I'm sorry, I just realized I didn't throw that in, but it's a form that you fill out if you're working on the IACUC in regards to handling animals. That PIF will actually often trigger what I'm about to talk about. So that's personal information form, what animal are you handling, how are you handling it, how many hours a week, what materials are you going to be using, are you using any hazardous materials or chemicals? You fill out this form, it's going to flag a lot of things. There are a lot of other trainings that are required for your research efforts, but they're not necessarily required by the IRB, IACUC, or IBC. They may be required by your grant. They may be required by your department. They may be required by where you're going and what you're doing. So I just threw this in here. So consider, we have the UAF Environmental Health and Safety Office. They're working on their website. They've already made some great improvements. But if you go to that website, uaf.edu/safety, that whole right-hand side, there's a researcher button, a lab button. Click on that. It's going to take you to some pages, some things that you need to consider. Field liability, field insurance, certain types of trainings. So look into that. Don't just assume that because you've got your IACUC training done or your IRB training done that there isn't anything else. You may very well need something else. Also, your facility access or labs. I'm not in charge of the facilities and labs. I look at protocol reviews. So where are you working? If you're working in the bird building to do an IACUC, you're going to have to do specific training in regards to being a personnel in that building. There's rules and regulations and safety procedures. You're going to have to go read a manual. You'll have to take a training, work with Chris Tiersey. Same thing, Lars. If you're working in the lab with biohazard material, there may be other things involved. You may have to take a lab training, how to access a lab, what PPE is required, how you dispose of things. So don't ever assume that you're done. Again, a surgical training, ALAS, and vet med, or excuse me, not vet med, our program, but Animal Resource Center, our attending vet may require you to do specific surgical trainings based on the procedure that you're trying to do. They may want you to shadow them to show you if you're inexperienced. And then specific field trainings in general, like these aren't always required, but they're highly recommended. And as part of the VCR office, I've always been really proud that for at least as long as I've worked here, so about 7 years, the VCR has sponsored field safety trainings for researchers and offers them for a majority in the most part for free. This is an example of the new Respectful Field Camp, the flyer that you can see that they offered in addition to the standard field trainings. But do you need bear safety, gun safety, boat? Are you taking a boat out? Do you need snow machine, ATV safety training? What are some of the other field? There's like the medical, what is that called? It's really good. I want to take it myself. First aid responder, right? So what do you need? Where are you going to be? Again, work with your supervisor, your department director to identify what you need going into the field, you know, and do you know how to use your equipment? You know, what are you taking with you? Do you know how to use it? So there may be trainings there. So that said, there's a lot of trainings, but just make sure that you're checking your boxes. Okay, so hopefully I'm going to click on this link and I'm just going to really quick show you.
Cassie, you have a question?
Yes, please shout it out, Court.
Hey, Cassie.
Hi.
I am so happy that you're doing this. So I just want to let you know that I appreciate you and
Good.
I appreciate your skill and knowledge. So I was just wondering if you could kindly talk about a fast track way of photographing animals in the field. If I wanted to go out and within less than a month, to just go out and take pictures at a safe distance, not going to be harassing any animals, just
Yeah.
just taking pictures. If there is a fast track way I could go about in getting this.
There is not. There's not a fast track way. I would say, like, unfortunately, we just had our IACUC meeting yesterday, which would have been the fastest to have a protocol approved had it been submitted, 5 days before. Our next meeting is May 12th. So if you got it in, about the 6th, it could be reviewed, but the earliest it would be approved would be the 12th, and that's if what you submitted had no revisions at all, which I have hardly ever seen happen. But if the revisions were minor, you could probably turn it around really fast. So I would say the middle of May is probably the fastest, because even for taking pictures, that's an observational protocol. So that's specifically, I know you've done a full protocol before for the IACUC, but this one's specifically an observational protocol. It sounds like what you're describing. So there's no, it's maybe not as an in-depth protocol, but there's no fast track way. If there was like an urgency regarding to like fund expenditures or specimen frame of window, like if you just got notified that this migration is happening, there's a chance that we could do an emergency IACUC meeting, but you'd have to have a pretty good argument for having us pull that together. So there's a chance if you have a good argument, but most likely it would be the middle of May.
Okay, at some point in time, then I would just like to go, and this will be after the meeting, just chat with getting a template in just in case, because
yeah,
you're saying that it's going to take as is. If everything was perfect, it will take 1 month just to be able to take pictures of animals.
Yeah, just because when our board meetings are, because it has to be approved by the IACUC board, and our IACUC board meets the second Tuesday of every month. Unlike an IRB, which can be reviewed by me or DMR reviewed, there's a chance actually with an observation I might be able to get it done faster, but it really depends on what you're doing and how you're doing it. I guess there's a chance. So let's talk.
Okay,
good. I'll try to show you the form today if I remember.
Okay,
so thank you for that. So CITI program, hopefully you guys can all see this. My name is not Sunnery. I don't know how to change that, but because this is our training module to show you guys. So I just wanted to show you real quick, like you're gonna go to CITI program and .org, CITAprogram.org. Usually if you Google CITA program, it pops right up. You're going to create over in this corner that you can't see right now because apparently I already logged in. Let's see if it, perhaps if I log out. So you have CITA program and you're going to find this page, and I'm not going to be me today. I'm going to be an admin so that you can see my. So you're going to see a page like this, and what you're really going to look for is here's a getting started guide and a getting started video. And if you don't have a CITI, you're going to hit this register button right here, register. That's what you want to do. But we're going to say I'm already registered. So well, I'm going to show you some of the things it's going to ask you.
I have a question about the registration. Like, so for the IRB business you were talking about, or maybe it was for CITI. Is this where we're, oh, never mind, you're getting right to it. I was like, where do we select the University of Alaska and where do we select the correct one?
Thank you.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're great. So you're going to hit that register button, and I'm assuming it's going to take you to a page, and I clicked around enough that I think if I hit it, I hit it just right earlier. So let me, here we go. It's going to ask you these type of questions. So you're going to go to that register button. It's going to prompt you to select your organization, so the University of Alaska Fairbanks. It's going to ask you to put in your email. It's going to ask you your highest degree, your job title. One hang up that I get a lot is department, because a lot of you work in multiple departments. I would pick the one that you're either a majority or that you do a majority of your research for, or why you're creating that account. Like, what department are you right now creating that account to do a protocol? But I do understand you can put whatever department. Another one is the role. This one I get a lot. Just self-identify. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I wouldn't mark yourself an administrator, but you can be a site coordinator. You can be a data manager, a research assistant. I think that there's student researcher, graduate level, student researcher. So just whatever you feel is the best fit, that's what you're going to select. So as you're registering, it's going to ask you that question. General information, and then this is update, but that you're going to create an account, right? So now I will tell you, in CITI as an admin, I have the ability to reset your passwords, and I can see your user. I don't know your password, but I can see your username. So I can tell you, this is your username if you forgot it. This is the email that you created your account with. A lot of people have CIT accounts back when we used to have like the FS emails, you know, uaf.edu emails, and now we have the alaska.edu. So some people have two accounts. I can see both. So I can tell you your username, and I can send you a reset password button, which is usually pretty helpful. Unlike IRBnet, which we'll talk about later, I can't see any of that. I can't even see the email that you created the account with. So that's often unhelpful. So what we're going to do is you're going to create your account, and it's going to take you to a page like this, and it's going to say, welcome, Jessica. And it's going to say 0 courses completed, you know, 0 years of membership. And what you're going to do is you should be able to scroll down right away, and under view courses there, these are all, because this is a training account, this is what it's going to look like once your course is added, these little blue boxes. But you're going to see this add a course button under learners tools. And when you click that add a course button, this is the question section I was talking about. So, and great thing is this is free. You can take all these trainings if you want. Go forth and be fruitful. I'm not going to tell you no. I'm just going to look for the required ones. So you can take anything you want. Here you go. If you're an IRB, you're going to look right here, social behavior research or human participant basic. You're going to take that course. If you transferred from a different university and you could prove to me that you had a certificate for basic that had expired, I would allow you to register for refresher. Once you take basic, your certificate is good for 3 years once you pass it, and it'll automatically remind you that you need to go in, and it will automatically default to the refresher course. So it's not going to make you take basic over and over again. It makes you take a smaller version, the refresher course. So if you're doing IRB, this is the one that's required right here. Now there's this trick to CITI that I don't know why it exists, but I put it in all my instructions because I was trained this way. Once, if you're only doing social researcher training and you hit that, you have to go through for all the other 10 questions and hit not at this time. I don't know why, but you just have to. It won't add into your queue unless you acknowledge all the other questions. So just really quick going through these, like obviously 2 doesn't apply. You're not an IRB chair. If you're in the ICA court, you're doing your field researcher. I'm pretty sure you have this, but you'd want field researcher. Here again, we have working with fish, working with dogs, rabbits, frogs, zebrafish. So you can take anything. These aseptic surgery is one we require an ALAS now. So you could take it in CITI, but if you're doing aseptic surgeries, you're going to take an ALAS training for that. Biosafety, if you're in the IBC, here's the groups I was talking about. So you're always going to take one, and then you're going to do, are you animal biosafety, NIH, RDNA, bloodborne, what are you doing? RCR, here's the RCR training. You're going to take this one right here. Social and behavioral RCR not equivalent to IRB training. That's the one that you need to work towards your certificate and NSF NIH fund projects. Question 6, conflict of interest, just something that you can take. Export compliance control. This is another one that could be required if you're doing anything overseas, working with foreign nationals. This one is for our VCR. Good laboratory practice could just be assigned depending on what you're doing. And then we have undue foreign influence, which is a new one for risks and mitigations. Erin, my counterpart, usually assigns that one if it's needed. Then you hit submit and whatever you collect, but remember you have to do not at this time. And you hit submit and whatever you, let's see what it says if I don't do it. See, so question 4 is required. That's it, just won't let you add unless you click all these not at this times, right? So you're going to go through, make sure you not at this time, then you're going to submit it. We didn't do something right. We'll just, I think it's already there, but so there you go. That's what happens. You have to do it. There we go. We'll just do this one. Oh, and it resets it every time. Look, we learned something else today. Apparently you have to re-click everything every single time. Fun. Okay. So then it's going to take you to this active courses. The module that you selected is going to pop up right here. Of course, you're going to see a button, and I'm sorry if y'all are getting seasick with my scrolling, that says start now. So we just added this field animal researchers course. You hit the start now, and it's going to take you to the course. You're going to hit the start button. You don't have to take them in order if you don't want to. You can skip around, but you're going to hit that start button. Each little module is a course, and you're going to take a quiz at the end. There's additional supplement models sometimes available depending on the course. The cool thing is like if you take, I think if you take lab researcher and then you take field researcher, there may only be like 1 or 2 different modules. Or if you take field researcher, it almost covers you for lab researcher, things like that. So the modules can cross over, which is pretty cool. So if I may assign you 3 trainings and you may do one and it may almost get you 2/3 of the way complete. So that's a little bit about CITI. Remember, you have to have 100% on all the quizzes. The certificate is good for 3 years. It's going to send you a refresher reminder. Your certificates are good from universities for CITI. We don't take other nationally accredited programs, CITI only, but only within if your training was valid within the last 3 years. So like I said, if you came from a university that had a 5-year certificate, we're only going to take 3 years of that certificate. Any questions about CITI? I'm going to hurry through. Okay. All right, next up, conquering IRBnet. Haha. I use it every day, so I'm pretty proficient in it, but I know the struggle because I only started learning it 18 months ago. There's a lot of idiosyncrasies and quirks. No matter what program we had, there would be. So I understand your frustration, and it never offends me when you call me frustrated. I really understand. So we use IRBnet. It's our program. You're gonna go to IRBnet, you're gonna Google IRBnet, you're gonna get on this registration page. Up here in the corner, you're gonna be a new user if you don't already have an account. If you forgot your password, this is where IRBnet can be a bit of a pain. They don't often work very well with you. If you can't remember your email, your password's associated with, to reset it, you're going to have to reach out to me. If I send them an email, they're pretty responsive. If you send them an email, they're not always the most responsive under the contact us section. So you're going to create your registration, username and password login. So that's just what the site looks like, so you know you're in the right place. When you are creating your registration, it's going to take you to this page. This is information it's going to ask. The most important is your research institution organization. Again, if you have an IRBnet account from a different institute or organization, cool. You need to add UAF as an affiliation. And then you're going to have to be really careful, because at the top of IRBnet, you're going to have multiple drop-down box, and you're going to have to make sure that you pick the right organization and switch back and forth when you're selecting. It's a fun little thing about IRBnet. So most of people only have UAF affiliations, but some people have protocols, partnerships with different universities, or previously worked for a different university. You can also remove an affiliation, but number one important, your research institution organization is the University of Alaska Fairbanks, Fairbanks, Alaska, which is the way it's listed. If you're with UAS, for example, Court, I know he's down there at UAS. There is a UAS selection, but UAS doesn't exist. So I don't know why it's still there. Maybe hopefully it's gone now. But if you are doing something with the Southeast, there what used to be a University of Alaska Southeast, but UAF, I manage all of that. So you have to be UAF. So you're going to create your username, password. Hopefully you don't forget it. And you're going to continue on. Now, this looks a little different because I did this in training with the green. Yours, I don't think will look green. It'll be white. But the number one key, most important thing is I get a lot of people that get their IRBnet account and then they say, I can't find any of the forms. I don't see anything. What are you talking about? The first problem there usually is that they didn't affiliate to UAF, because to be able to see our forms and templates, you have to list the University of Alaska Fairbanks as your organization or one of your organizations. So until UAF is listed, you're never going to see our forms and templates. So you make sure you're part of us, then you're going to see this forms and templates button as that you can see on the screen with the red arrow pointing to it. That is where you're going to find everything that you have to submit for the most part to the IRB, the IACUC, or the IBC. Forms and templates, very fun. Again, drop-down boxes are popular in IRBnet. They're not all that common. There's just noted by this little arrow over here that's not always easy to see, so I totally understand. But once you hit forms and templates, you're going to see this University of Alaska Fairbanks drop down. Now, that drop down is important because if you're submitting to the IACUC, you're going to want to hit the drop down and you're going to want to find UAF IACUC Fairbanks, Alaska documents for researchers. UAF IRB Fairbanks, Alaska documents for researchers. IBC. So a lot. Occasionally someone's like, these don't seem to apply to me at all. And it's because they're trying to do an IRB, but they're in the IACUC forms and templates and they're looking at animal protocols and they're trying to do a human protocol, and it's understandable that it would be confusing. So look for the drop downs. Real quick, I went over this the last time, but these are the things that you're going to find and need when you're in IRBnet for your protocols. So we use irbnet.org, your principal investigator. If you're qualified, we have a PI policy at the university. It's going to be yourself. If you're a student, it's going to be your faculty advisor or whoever the PI on that grant is or who the submitter is. You can get an exemption, but you actually have to have a signed exemption. So you can't just say you're exempting yourself and list yourself as a PI. So make sure you know who your PI is when you create your project. And other things, your protocol is going to come out. You're going to find that in IRBnet. Consent templates are going to be found in IRBnet. Personnel list templates. Interview questions, if it's this human subject, you're going to provide those. Letters of collaboration, you're going to provide those. Recruitment documents, even if you're doing, if you're sending up a flyer somewhere, sending out emails, you're going to show us those. Again, your templates are in forms and templates in IRBnet. And we'll talk about modifications to annual reports here in a second. Okay, so the review process, I'm just going to really quickly, can you guys see this toolbar or is it just me?
No, we see normal, or I only see my controls. I don't see yours.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know if it was in your way. That's what I was asking.
No.
So the review process. So this is kind of shows you, first you're going to work before you even, I mean, you can call me and ask me questions all you want. That's great. I'm good at talking on the phone and I'd love to help you out, make sure you're down the right track path, get you started on your CI training. So it's not your hang up in the end, because that tends to always be the hang up in the end, is you get everything done and I can't issue your approval because you didn't do your CI/TI training yet and it's 5 hours long, right? So work with your mentor, create your research plan. You're going to develop your protocol documents. You're going to have them reviewed, edited, looked over. If you're doing things with animals, surgical procedures, work with our attending vet, have them look at it before you submit it. It's going to save you a lot of time in regards to modifications. Have your chair look over your protocol, have someone that you know has been through the IRB process, look over your documents. They'll know some of the idiosyncrasies. It will save you a lot of time. And then you're going to submit them to the IRBnet. These are an example of some of the documents. We're going to look at it closer here. So you create your research plan, you develop your documents, you submit to the IRBnet. I'm going to look for things like your protocol, personnel list. These are both required, IACUC, IBC, or IRB. Survey questions, consents, permits for the IACUC, what you're doing with the animals, you need a permit, and your other project specific documents. So that's just a little bit about the things you're going to need in the process. So when you're doing an IRB review, what happens is you submit, and it's the same for IACUC or IBC, but you're going to submit your documents to IRBnet, and I'm going to do a preliminary review. You're going to get an email back from me, unless it was perfect. You're going to get an email back from me that says preliminary review, and I list everything that you should edit, change, look at, suggestions, all kinds of things. So then I'm going to unlock your package, because when you submit it, it locks your package. I'm going to unlock your package for you, and I'm going to say, go forth and be fruitful. And then the ball's in your court, and you can take as long as you want to do your revisions. Once you're done with your revisions, there's this little tiny button you're going to have to find under designer that says mark revisions complete, that locks your package. It turns your lock green, which allows me to know you're done. Green means go for me. So I'm going to go into your package. I'm going to look at what I requested. I'm going to look at your modifications. I'm going to compare. I'm going to make sure everything was done to the satisfaction of the requirements of the IRB, the IACUC, the IBC. And then depending, it may have to go to a committee review. So if you're an IRB expedited or protocol, you have to go be reviewed by one of my members. If you're the IACUC, you have to go to full board, or depending on where you are, go to designated member review. The only ones that I review start to finish are exempt protocols. Same for IBC, you're going to go to committee, full committee, or designated member review. So that review may or may not come back with comments, modifications, things like that, just like I did under preliminary, but this is your official review. I'm going to issue you a letter that says, here, you need to do these things. And you're going to go in and create a new package. I'm not going to unlock it this time. You're going to go in and create a new package and go through that process. And then hopefully get your approval, and we issue you a letter and I send you an email. Of course, you can always do modifications. Don't ever feel like you're stuck with what got approved. We understand research processes change. We understand what you do sometimes doesn't always work out. So you absolutely have the ability to do a modification. You highlight your changes in yellow on the existing documents you have. You submit them as a modification amendment in a new package. And then they go through the same review process. So we're going to, let me see what my next slide. Yep. Okay. Real quick, we're going to open IRB net. And this is my training site. So it looks a little different. So bear with me for 1 second. I think I got that right. No, I didn't. UAF, yeah, here we go. Okay. Okay. So now you're in your IRBnet account and you need to find your documents. So you're like, okay, I'm in, here's my IRBnet account. Hopefully you affiliated with the University of Alaska Fairbanks. You're going to see forms and templates. First thing you're going to do is you're going to click on forms and templates. Now, I apologize because this is my training account, so I don't know why it says Anchorage, but you know, are you the IACUC? Are you the IRB? There would be an IBC. Again, documents for researchers. So we're going to pretend we're the IRB we're gonna do an exemption request. So I know I've communicated with my ORI office. They've told me that I can ask for an exemption. So I know I need an exemption request in my personnel list. So you're gonna come in here and you're gonna click your exemption request and you can download your document and you can open it right away in Word. And you're just gonna begin to fill it out and you're gonna save it. A lot of people don't realize you're gonna fill that out and then here it says title, proposed start date, anticipated completion date. It may ask for your protocol number, especially on a protocol application. This one may, let's see. Nope, apparently it doesn't. So you're gonna save this somewhere, you're gonna fill it out. And now you're ready. Personnel list, again, you're gonna download this. You're gonna fill it out, personnel list. Who are you? What's your affiliation? Specific duties. If you're a student researcher, you need to list your PI and yourself. If it's just the two of you, make sure that you specify who's the PI, who is your faculty advisor. And specific duties, please don't just write conducting surveys. Like, are you doing the data analysis? Are you developing the survey? Are you running the focus groups? Like, be specific. So say you fill out your exemption, you fill out your personnel list, and now you're ready. You got to create your project. So what you're going to do in IRBnet is you hit the create new project button, and you're going to make sure that you're the right institution, UIF Fairbanks. You're going to create your title. You're going to put your principal investigator's name in there. You don't have to have degree. I don't qualify as a principal investigator. I'm just doing this because it's a test. But keyword sponsor is not necessary, just those 4 red things. And we don't have internal reference numbers. I guess that would be for you, but we don't use it. You're going to hit continue. And now, woohoo, you can see we got all these magic buttons that appeared. And these are your friends. These that help you do everything. These magic buttons right here. So you're going to, number one, it's helping you start. Where do you need your documents from? Well, technically we already got them, but if we didn't and we just hit create new package, it's going to say, hey, what do you need? Well, we're going to say we're working with the IRB for UAF. And it's going to say, okay, what document do you need? And you're going to see this selection list and we're going to say, well, we need an exemption request, and then you can download it. We already did that, right? So we're okay. But step 2, once you fill out that document you downloaded, you can upload it. So once you've filled it out, you do the attach new document button. There's pictures of me with fish. It's awesome. You can pick one and you can, I don't know if it actually will upload a photo. It'd be interesting to see if it does. Let's see, flamingo. There it goes. You can upload photos. So little glitches about IRBnet that people don't tell you. You see these angry red words right here that are so tiny that you can barely see them. It isn't going to let you submit this package until you label this document type. I don't know why it cares so much, but it sure does. So this was a photo that I was submitting to show them like this type of flamingo species that we're going to research or ask people interview questions about. So I'm going to name it a other. But whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what document type you name it. If I don't like it, I change it on my end because it helps me understand what I'm doing. But you have to label it a document type. Those red words have to turn blue or it won't let you submit it. So you're going to upload your exemption. You're going to upload your personnel list. You're going to upload your interview questions. You're going to upload the introductory email that you plan to send out to the 10 people that you're going to interview. And you're going to upload maybe a flyer that you're posting in the community to solicit those 10 people. So once all those documents are uploaded, your next step is going to be to submit the package. So when you submit the package, again, you're going to search the university and push continue. And again, you want to make sure that you are, okay, so if it's a brand new project, you're going to hit new project. If you're working with a new package, you're doing an amendment, or maybe you're submitting a permit or something and you have a new package, you're going to say maybe it's an amendment modification, but for the new one, we're going to call it new project. You don't have to write any comments, and then you're going to submit it. And you're like, sweet, it's been submitted. And we can go back to my projects, and we're going to be able to see it. Here it is, CASC test. It says it's locked, which means I can't edit the documents. If I go in and unlock it, that lock will turn red like this, which shows me I can access it. And once you relock it, that lock will lock, but it'll turn green. So we're going to be in CASC now. Because we've created a project, here's a new fun button that's appeared. This is the most important button, I think. It's the create new package button. Not create new project. A new project is a whole new project. We're new package. So we're inside an existing project. As you can see here, there's a -1. That's your first initial package. So all of a sudden I submitted it. Everything was great, but I realized I forgot to put the right community on my consent form, or I'm adding, I had Bethel and now I want to add Huslia to my consent and protocol. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to add those words. I'm going to highlight them in yellow in my protocol and on my consent form. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit create new package, and it's going to create a -2 package. See this right here? -2. And it's going to do the same thing all over again. It's going to say, here's what you have. I can add new documents, and then I'm going to submit it, and I'm going to submit it as an amendment modification. So I hope that's a little frustrating part. Now, another thing that people don't know is if you're running multiple packages. So for example, if you're doing an amendment modification and a personnel list change, but you're submitting them separately because you don't want, maybe somebody on your personnel list, you know, doesn't have their CITI training yet. You don't want that to hang up your modification approval. So you're going to submit your modification first, then your personnel list. So when you create that third package, your personnel list, and you go to have your PI sign it, see the sign this package button. So your PI, if you're not the PI, your PI has to sign as an official approval. They're going to say, well, they can only ever see the most recent package pop up. When they click on it in my projects, it's going to say -3 or whatever your most recent package is. Key being under designer, there's this tiny little blue arrow that you can click, and now you can see your history of projects. You can see your new your first package, your second package, your third package. You can even hit a big create new package button, but you're going to have to tell your PI, okay, if they don't know how to do it, that's how you find the package. So you go back to package 1 and they would sign the package. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Jessica. Those are just little things that you know, when you're doing multiple things in it and the packages stack up and your PI can't find how to sign it. Another important function to know is to share this package. Again, if your PI, your faculty chair, they're going to need access to it because I can't approve anything unless they signed it. If you're working with other personnel and you want them to have access to it, the share this package button is really important. So multi-sites is if you're working with a different university. Share is interinstitutional. So you're going to find our institution or organization and you can search. I don't know why. I don't know why it is only giving me this many right now. It might be because it's a training, but really what you get is a search box once you hit that and you search the last name or the first name, and it's going to tell you how many people might have that name. So if you have a really John Brown name, you know, at the university, maybe 3 people pop up, and that's going to be a little unfortunate because which one do you pick? Because it's really only going to show you their names just like right here. It's also a little unfortunate if you have a PI who had 2 accounts. Maybe they created 2 IRB accounts for whatever reason and their name comes up twice. That's when you're going to have to work with me to work with IRBnet to figure out which account to either consolidate or remove an account so that we know the one account. So if you ever can't find your password to IRBnet, it's not recommended to start a new account. Just email your ORI office to try to get access to your original account. Sorry. Okay. So again, signature only, read only. I recommend that PIs have full access. Excuse me. Read if you're just sharing it with personnel. If you're doing a interview procedure and you just wanted to make sure that your personnel had access to the interview questions, they could have read access only. So that's important. Share is important. Sign this package is important if you're the PI. If you're not the PI and they're just a submitter, you don't actually need to use that button. Sorry, I have a tickle. Delete this package if you're not going to use it. Send project mail. You can send mail to people that you've shared the project with yourself. and me in IRBnet. Message and alerts is where you're going to see notifications. It's kind of fun history. So if I sent you a review letter or email, if you're trying to find it, hit this message and alert. So when I do a review and you hit this, you're going to see a little red flag right here. It'll say it's new. And you'll have an email from me that'll say preliminary review right here. And when you click on that, that's where you're going to see that list of revisions. Sorry, super itchy throat. Okay. Oh my gosh, it took the whole entire time. Any questions? Excellent.
Perfect. We've all got this.
Yeah, and just call, like, before you get frustrated and really angry, call. I do try my best to answer phone. I probably make half my phone calls a day, so I'm really sorry. Email me. I'm really good at typing email, click directions. But I understand that it might be frustrating. Clicking around doesn't harm things. Just the key is remembering to look in the right drop-down boxes. So remember, if you're IRB, that you're hitting the right drop-down box. Remember when you're submitting, when you go to submit the package, remember that you're submitting to the right IRB or IACUC. It's okay if you submit to the wrong one. It's just more work on your part because I'm going to withdraw it and you have to start all over again. I can't change your submission. The committee has submitted it to, I just withdraw it, which means it's no longer important. We're not reviewing it. You're going to have to go through and create a new package again, new title, upload all your documents, and then submit it to the right one. So it's just more work on your part. So just look out for those sneaky little drop-down boxes. Look out for those little blue arrows. They do things. Your protocol number, the minute you create a project, it gives you a protocol number. So if you need a protocol number, it's right there in the corner. A lot of people don't see that right away. So yeah, just ask questions. And I think that was everything I had. I think next was just my thank you slide. So thanks. Sorry, I probably bored you all, but it's fun and important.
It is important. Fun is in the eye of the experiencer. Could you go back 2 slides to that sort of what ends up being like my home screen? Oh, I guess, no, you were off in the actual IRBnet. Never mind. I was just thinking about that, the purple page with the tiny words and the tiny arrows, essentially like the whole, yeah. So like, I just want to point out to everyone, because I mean, when you're trying to put together these packages and stuff, like everything is really small on this interface. And it doesn't look like what we're used to clicking, and it's not going to change. And it's one of those things that we get to be the flexible component in the system. And it requires a lot of asking where stuff is. Like the letter can be found in my reminders because that's where notes are, where emails from Cassie come that have the attachment with the letter. I like totally.
I'm sorry I didn't cover that. You're right. I shouldn't have.
No, you did cover it. That's why I said it, because I had totally forgotten that was how.
I wonder if it will let me hit. I clicked on it. It probably logged me off, but and I know now we're over time, but let me quick show you that actually. So when I do issue letters, like if you went to an expedited review, for example, if I issued you a letter, if I sent you an email, it's messages and alerts, but if it issued you a formal letter, or once you get your official approval letter or a modifications report letter, it's going to be found under reviews. So there's nothing here yet, but these buttons are all your friend. They're all there for a reason. So project history will show all of the documents if you need to see a comparison of documents. Reviews will show who conducted your review and the issued letter, which you wouldn't see, but right down here, see board documents, there would be a little piece of paper and the name of your project here, and that little piece of paper would be your approval. So if you needed to submit it somewhere, like if you're graduating, you need to show that you had IRB approval, you download that little letter. Send project mail, that's me. And again, we kind of went over these, but thank you for that. This is really important. Reviews is, so if you did submit something like court, if you submit to the IACUC and we issue the letter and it says you need to make these changes, that letter is going to be under reviews. And it'll say, modifications required. And those are probably infrequently used buttons, and project history is probably the most infrequently, but it's a fun button because if you ever lost your folder of your protocol history, it's all logged here in IRBnet. So. I made it all the way to the end.
all the way. That was amazing. And as somebody that's like spent a fair bit of time like going forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards in this interface, go to the designer button. It's not an intuitive word. It's not an intuitive button, but like, this is where like all these little tiny things on this page do stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all important things.
And I can't show it to you because this isn't what the test project isn't. Actually, let me see if I can show it to you under an unlocked project. So see how this one was unlocked? So when you hit that designer button, this is the hardest button to find, but it is the most important. So you may go in and modify all of your documents and then you're done and you hit submit and everything. Even if you hit submit, your package, you see this red unlock up here, your package is still unlocked. Red means stop for me. It says don't review. It says you're not done yet. You're still working in it. Green means go. So do you see this tiny little blue mark revisions complete? This is the most inconspicuous, ridiculous button, but it is the most important button because when you hit that, you can send me a message, but it locks your package. Green means go. So until I see that green means go, when you find those tiny little words, I may, after a couple weeks of it sitting there, email you and say, hey, are you done? Because I want to get it out of my queue. But how tiny, right? Like super tiny little word, mark revision.
Don't go anywhere. Press the attach new documents button.
It's going to do my fish pictures again. Oh, right. Now it's locked. You can't. Now that it's locked, you can't add a new document. So then now if you mess something up or you forgot to add a new revised document, you have to email me to unlock your package. If it hasn't been reviewed yet, I will unlock your package. If it's gone through official letter issuing review, then you have to start a new package. There you go. Sorry. Yes. The idiosyncrasies, but good. Yeah. That mark revision complete button is, I know, Molly, it's ridiculous.
But the key part is like it returns to, you have to email Cassie with questions. Yeah. You have to email Cassie to unlock the thing. And she's a nice person and she just unlocks the thing and then you fix the thing and it's fine.
But it may take me 6 hours to see your email too. So, and you're trying to get it done before you went on to your next thing that day. So it's unfortunate. So, but thank you guys. Yeah. Always ask me if you have questions. So.
Thank you so much, Cassie. I really appreciate this review and the time. And yes, we will. We have this recording and as our base. And I will steer folks your way once they start getting involved in training and the new RCR. So let us know when that one's ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And Court, I will. I'll email you the form and then maybe, do you want a Zoom link?
Yeah, let's do a Zoom link because, do you
have time right after this? I don't want to keep everybody on, but I'll send it right away.
Yeah, I have time. I'm a little bit panicked. So yeah, I could chat with you right after if you have time.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
All righty. And we'll do